What's going on, guys? Robert here. Just a live update on what's happening in the New York area and beyond. We're going to look at some news. Just wanted to give you a little update on some of the things that I'm thinking about as well. I did tell everybody. Well, actually, I posted on Telegram on the day that man was on the airplane. And he started yelling and screaming. I think it was in the UK. He started yelling about Trump and he started yelling about America. And he yelling and screaming that he had, he was going to explode himself there. And everybody on the plane was going crazy trying to subdue him. But he was an Islamic guy. He was, yelling Allah Akbar, And when that happened, it was probably 2 or 3 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago. I posted on Telegram. Now I didn't tell everybody what I told my wife, and if my wife's in the chat, she can verify this. That I said this. I said that's a signal. I think that's a signal, and they're going to start doing stuff that has to do with these types of attacks, right? And then the next day there was something that happened. And I can't remember what it was, but it was in line with that. And I said, see, did you see that? There's another event. Did you see how that happened? And then today, look at what happened. This guy, pro-Palestinian type guy, everything to do with what I think is going to be an escalation. I even said on Telegram, if you go over here and look at this, I'll show you my post. I didn't say what I told my wife, though. I said I think it's a signal. It's kind of like they make signals in the media, and they know people are going to pick it up. They do something like that on a plane. Everybody's got a phone. It's going to go viral all over the world. Somebody that's on that plane is going to share that video, and all they do is that's their signal. Like, hey, we're going to start doing stuff now. Let's go ahead and put the signal out. Just like it happened on the 33rd floor. What's the chances of that happening? 33rd floor? On top of the fact that there's a whole bunch of really weird things happening right now. Here is the warning that I gave on, let's see, what day was this? July 27th. You see, well, you can't see that. Hold on, let me pull it so you can see this. Okay, so if you let me see. You see that July 27th. Okay, so that was yesterday. I said that. So this guy yesterday threatened to do this. Like, you can't say some of the words on YouTube because it just messes up your feed. But it says that he did this in the UK in the morning. If you saw the video, it's kind of crazy. The dude starts yelling and screaming that he's got this and he's going to do this. And everybody was like looking around like, oh my gosh, is this it? And then two guys tackled him. They tackled him right there on the plane. And then I said, I can see this kind of behavior escalating as things heat up in the Middle East. Now, personally, I think it's coordinated, it's orchestrated. A lot of these things are orchestrated, and I don't know if it's just human orchestration, like some kind of central committee decides, all right, we're the Illuminati. They got like a little sign over their door, Illuminati High Command. Now, I don't think it's like that. I do think that there is orchestration, though, and I do think it is a high command that has influences upon people's hearts and minds. That is definitely beyond human. Now, people are kind of likening all the weirdness to what's happening in the world to what's going on in the heavens. Remember, the Bible does say there's going to be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars in the heavens, and on the earth distress of nations with perplexity. So what is going on with this, whatever they're saying it is, they're trying to say it's some kind of craft. It's actually slowing down. Like, how does a media, or how does a um, interstellar body. I don't know what they're calling it. If it's some kind of, and they're not. I'm not going to say it's a meteor. It's something else. Excuse me. The comet or some kind of. They said it's interstellar, and it's only the one of very few times ever. I think they even said it was like one of the only times. I don't know. But they're saying this thing is coming screaming through our solar system, and it's going to get awfully close to where we live here on planet Earth. But the thing is slowing down, and they're saying that that's not normal. Okay, things don't slow down as if they're putting on the brakes. They're saying it's some kind of craft. They said it about this other one that came through a while back. Because it was long, the way it was shaped, it kind of looked almost like a disc flying shape type. I don't know. I haven't looked really deeply into it, but all that to say that this just a bunch of weirdness going on. Now, Trump, I don't know if you saw what Trump said today. And by the way, I just want to say hello to everybody. I don't want to just seem like I'm ignoring everybody here. Elizabeth, what's going on? Watchman, hello. Aaron, good to see you. Yeah, there was a woman arrested too. I guess there was 6 people that died. Is that right? 6 people? 6 people died. And 6 people died. A lot of people were wounded, from what I understand. The shooter obviously is dead. Saw pictures of him laying out, so he's gone. The girl, I don't know who the girl was. She didn't look Islamic. Did she look Islamic to you? She looked kind of white to me. She looked like a younger girl too, like almost in her early 20s. She just kind of looked really young. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Hey Jeffrey, hello brother. Ralph, how's it going? Apache, Freedom Deep. There was an attempted second. Now, when was that, Aaron? Was that just after? Because I know he's dead now. Isn't the shooter dead? I saw pictures of him laying out dead. So I'm guessing he's dead. He's dead, Jim. Aaron, I'm not sure. When you say a second attack, are you talking about something separate, something from another source, or what's going on? In the video, people said she was helping another guy. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's interesting. So maybe there is something else afoot. Maybe there is something else afoot. Now, going back to Trump, the whole Trump thing, I was sitting there looking at what Trump said about Russia. Did you see that? Now, if we're ever to have nuclear conflict in the world, it's going to affect America, you would expect something major to happen. I don't think it would be a threat from Iran. I don't think Iran could reach America. I don't think that they have the capability of getting that far. But Russia could, and China could. But look at what Trump is now saying to Putin. Did you see what he said today? What do you think about that? That's pretty big news. Let's just take a look at what Trump said. I think we posted this. Did I post this? I hope I posted this. Maybe I didn't post it. I think I did. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay, so Lindsey Graham said this, and Trump also did say he gave an ultimatum. He gave a deadline to Russia. So he says he's going to give them a new deadline 10 or 12 days from today. We just don't see any progress being made. So if there's no progress being made and he knows they're not going to do anything, then why is he giving them another ultimatum? I don't understand. Trump's not going to end up looking weak because he's got too big of an ego for that. And he's got too many, scores to make sure that he settles that take him serious. And that when he says something, he's going to make sure he does what's important to put everybody and keep everybody off balance and afraid. So I wouldn't doubt that he's not going to do something. But what about Putin? Does Putin have that kind of mindset where he's just going to cower and go along with the flow? Or is he going to do something crazy? Putin's getting up there in age too. You know, when you get leaders that are getting close to death's door, I don't know if they really care at a certain point. And I mean, you know, Trump is getting up there in age. He's in his, you know, what is he, late 70s? He's getting close to 80, right? I mean, he's looking good for being so old, but he's getting up there. So he's threatening Russia. Now, Dmitry Medvedev, he used to be the former president of Russia at one point when there was still the opportunity for presidents to be president. That's why he said Trump's going to pull a Putin on us, where he's going to take and change our constitution so that he can just keep being president for as long as he wants. Putin's been president now for almost 20 years. I think he did have a little break there where this guy came in and was president for a little bit. But look what he said. Trump's playing the ultimatum game with Russia. 50 days or 10. He should remember two things. Russia isn't Israel or even Iran. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. Not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country. Don't go down the sleepy Joe road. Jeez. That's them a fighting words. Oh boy. Trump's got a big ego. He can't let that go. Oh no. He's going to go tit for tat. This is going to escalate very quickly. So this is a step towards war, says Russian president, as he responds to Trump's 10-day ultimatum deadline. Russia isn't Israel or even Iran. See that? Boy, oh boy. Intercontinental ballistic missiles, here we come. Can you say, finish my gate? Like quickly? All right. Sorry, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Some of you do. You know what I'm talking about, my gate prophecy, right? Okay. So you don't know who the gate prophecy, you need to find out what that is. Get some oil, find the oil. All you sleepy virgins out there, get on board, find that oil, because it's getting close. All right. So Lindsey Graham says, I completely understand President at real Donald Trump's frustration with Russia's continued attacks on Ukraine, which indicates no real desire to come to the peace table. See, and oh my gosh, this is just such a. Anyways, he goes on to say, Putin has seriously miscalculated President Trump. I hope countries like China, India, and Brazil, probably the majority of the world, basically they have huge populations, especially India and China put together. I mean, I don't know what, between India and China, what is it? There's got to be at least 4 or 5 billion people. It says that in Brazil, it says, I hope countries like China, India, and Brazil, who prop up Putin's war machine, are about to pay a long overdue price. Oh, so we're going to really take it out on the rest of the world? Do we have the power to actually do that? Or we're going to use our AI, all of our AI development and all of our cryptocurrencies. We're going to say, you can't have any cryptocurrencies. We're going to regime change you. We're going to throw around our cryptocurrencies to everybody and bribe them and facilitate regime change, whatever it takes, you know, coups and whatever, how much ever money it takes. We got all unreserved. We can just create our own money because this is crypto. You know what I mean? We can do whatever we want. As long as we're world reserve currency, we can just add zeros and just create money out of thin air. And so we can regime change you at any time. We've got the technology. We got the money. You don't necessarily need manpower to be able to overcome with robots, right? And drones and AI-directed weapons. Oh, no. No. But anyway, Lindsey's very bold to say that Russia should have stricter sanctions and global isolation. He also threatened sanctions against China, India, and Brazil, which are heavily involved in trading with Russia. J.D. Vance just said that all this info on scumbag pedophile Epstein will be released. Well, that's nice to know. Why didn't they say that in the beginning? I don't understand why it took so long for them to actually now say that they're going to release everything. The only thing I can think of is they needed to make sure that they didn't release anything that was damaging. They had to go through everything really quick. It's going to take a little bit of time. Get that AI out and make sure that Trump's name isn't. I don't know how many thousands of documents there probably is, and it would take time to go through all that. But I had heard from Durbin, right? Senator Durbin said this, that the Trump administration was flagging everywhere in the Epstein files that had his name, Trump, indicating that they were going to do something, maybe redact it. I don't know. Erase it. Trump said that the Democrats added his name in there and they created these files. So it's just as easy to just take him out, right? Just tell everybody like Bongino and Bondi and everybody else, those are all fake. Everything's fake news that has to do with me. Just get rid of it. Just pull it out of there and then release it. Release it to the world after my name is out of there. So, yeah, they're going to release it to the world now, right? It's kind of like AI. Do you even know if it's real? I mean, is this live or is this Memorex? Is this a clone you're talking to? Am I real right now? I could be a clone right now for all you know. With the technology the way it is now, I could be some, computer wizard that can actually just create my own image and make myself say all kinds of smart things. Did you know that? And it would be all AI. And I can just make my own reality. And I can actually influence your reality too and what you think. What is real? What is actually real? What's actually truth? Well, we can make our own truth, right? We can fashion it in our own image. We can use all the words and all the concepts and ideas that you already know, and we can just kind of put a spin on it so that it actually goes all the way back to glorifying AI once again, because it's all intelligence. It's all knowing. It's all powerful. It's all everywhere at once, just like God, right? The AI gods have descended upon earth, and now we're their servants. We're subjects. We're now digital prisoners. And soon we'll probably be real prisoners if you don't know how all this is going to end up. I mean, look at Bible prophecy. Also look at what they're doing with all these camps they're preparing. How are they going to house millions of people that are homeless? This act that Trump just made, and a lot of those people aren't on drugs. There's a lot of people that aren't criminals or insane or on drugs that are homeless. There's a lot of people that just can't afford and don't have a good job, and they can't make it in this inflated economy. And so they find themselves out on the street. What are they going to do with those people? They're going to put them in facilities? Like what kind of facilities? I mean, do they have enough facilities for all these people? I mean, is it going to be like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? I know that they're planning on building alligator Alcatrazes in every state, from what I understand. Not to mention the Rex 84 already prepared in advance for all these scenarios with problems from illegals. And also these pop-up tent cities, they're probably going to be like these little, what do they call them, these camps, internment camps, because there's a crisis unfolding. We got to do something. But anyway, so Trump's now saying that Trump said that now they can easily put something in the files that's a phony. As example, Christopher Steele wrote a book. We call it Fake News Dossier. The whole thing was a fake. The whole thing was a fake. They can put things in the file that was a fake. Those files were run by sick people. Now, listen to this. Could it be that maybe the powers that be, as many people have speculated and even prophesied, even the NAR prophets have prophesied, that Trump would be president way in advance, and we know that he was in consultation even before 2015, going probably all the way back to 2012, with Paula White. And we know who Paula White is and her connections to a lot of the NAR prophets. And if you don't know what the NAR prophets are, it just stands for New Apostolic Reformation. A lot of YouTubers are connected in some way to that whole Seven Mountain Mandate, Kingdom Now theology, a lot of prosperity gospel, word faith type people too. And it spills over into evangelicalism, not to mention evangelicalism has some of that spillover. Now, they don't really go along with all that. There's always these little factions. You just got to kind of understand the politics of religion a little, or Christianity, I should say, to be able to understand what I'm talking about. But all that to say that, what was I going to say? I was going somewhere with that. That Trump was set up because they knew, well, a lot of people are saying he was destined to be president, that this was all predicted, and that this was all forecasted, and people were preparing, and people even in Hollywood knew. I mean, you see that interview back in the 80s by Oprah Winfrey when she's talking to Trump back in the 80s, and she's like, oh, this sounds presidential. Are you thinking about running for office? And, he kind of plays it off like he's not really wanting to, but if he had to, if it really got bad one day, then maybe he would. I mean, this is back in the 80s. Okay, so he already had plans, and you see the picture on one of those magazines that's really popular. I think maybe it was Vogue or something. I can't remember. It was one of these big name magazines where they show him with the dove of peace and how he was doing missions in the Middle East to try to bring about peace. Even way back in the 80s, he was all about the peace in the Middle East, and he was working tirelessly on the back channels politically to do things. Why was he doing that? The man of peace, right? He was preparing for that role. But anyways, I would just say this, but if he had a very lurid or I don't know if that's the right word, a very promiscuous past that might have gotten him in trouble, could they not have set the stage for fake news to be bantered about and set the stage for a bunch of stupid people that had free reign to do whatever they wanted and let the corruption rule for the day, to the point where we got all this craziness thrown into our face, whether it was LGBTQ, RSTWXYZ, and everything else, and the kitchen sink thrown at us to shock our senses. That so when everything did flip back around to going back to some semblance of stability and sound thinking, sanity, we would all be like, wow, this guy's the one that's the preacher and the holder of truth. This man right here, there's nothing that is going to be said against him that could be true. It's all going to be fake news if it's bad, right? Everything that is said that's negative has to be fake news. So why was he so afraid about releasing all these files, making it? People were like, he got caught off guard. He didn't realize that these things were going to come out pretty quick, and they needed to make sure they had everything, because he's in charge now. He's in charge. Now, obviously, the powerful elites, and I say the powerful elites, I'm thinking of those that are guided, they're guiding the whole scenario. And I do think those are the powers of darkness, personally. I think that those are orchestrating, those influences over humanity are definitely, some would say in the realm of alien, I would say in the realm of demonic fallen angel. Okay, that's where I would classify this orchestration of events. And I think that Trump's a very big part of it, being that, hey, we're the global world reserve currency, we're the global power, superpower, we're the leader of the whole free world. Don't you think that all these powers, principalities, are going to gravitate toward this hub or the tip of the global spear of globalism, right? Because that's what we're trying to bring in. That's what we're trying to bring in. We're trying to bring in globalism, and this globalistic control grid that's going to be utilizing digital currencies, nanotechnologies, internet, space, beaming everything through high speed. I mean, hey, if the Chinese are using lasers right now, that far outpaces anything that we could ever imagine on internet speeds, just think about what they're going to be doing now with all this. I mean, I think we've already got a lot. I'm telling you, all these technologies that we don't even know about are being utilized. And then some of them are like, we're just now finding out. Like we're finding out after the fact. A lot of this stuff has already been out for a long time. And so now we're just starting to see, whoa, isn't this amazing? This AI technology and how it helps us facilitate our business and helps us to make money. I mean, there's people using it to make YouTube videos and, monetize everything and facilitate instead of having to pay for somebody to do something that would have cost a lot of money. They can just do it in a click of a button in a second, find out everything they ever needed to make what they're doing. Whether it's, graphic designer or, writing a book or making a video or some kind of, this is not AI what you're seeing here. This is real. This is true pure blood right here. And I say pure blood because we're talking about those who would say they're not a part of that whole vaccine craze where they just yielded their wills up on the altar of sacrifice to the powers that be that told them, just trust the plan. Just trust the plan. Everything's going to be just fine. It's the golden age you're entering into. You're helping to facilitate the unfolding golden age so grandma can come out of hiding and you can go visit her or at least go to her burial and watch her be put into the ground instead of having to look through a plexiglass curtain or try to hug one of your loved ones through some kind of plexiglass curtain, like plastic curtain, all that craziness, like what kind of craziness descended upon the world since 2020? Literally. This was when all this craps began. Like all this, it started a little bit before that. I think it was a little bit before, but it just got worse and worse and worser. Did it not? Did it not just go from bad to worse to worser? Mr. Roboto. Yes. A good one, Ralph. They named him like Camp Hope. Yeah, like Camp Hope. Like serious, like Trump calls these 15-minute cities or these smart cities. I mean, when you think about your smartphone, do you really think it's a good technology? Seriously? I mean, you think it's really helped ennoble, our human experience to have all this technology? No. And they call it a smartphone because your phone is smart, right? So they got these new cities they're going to be building, and they're called smart cities or 15-minute cities because you're not going to need to go beyond 15 minutes to get everything done. And really, you're not probably going to be allowed to leave at a certain point. But Trump doesn't call them smart cities or 15-minute cities. He calls them freedom cities. These are for the patriots, for those who want to make America great again. Yeah. It's like buying my gold idol colognes and perfumes and my meme coins that crash and everybody loses their money. And I make billions and billions of dollars. Yeah, that's what it's like. It's called a freedom city. The only ones that really are thinking they're going to get and they're not going to get it either. Believe me. They're bringing in a dystopia that they're also going to be a part of, and they're not going to escape from it. They may try to hide in the holes in the ground for a little while, but they're going to have to come out. And maybe they're not going to get out. Maybe that's going to be their grave because God Almighty is going to judge the whole earth. They're not going to escape that. Their AI isn't going to save them. Their AI is not going to save them. So, anywho's, what's going on, guys? Thank you, Vin. Vin Compro, JJ, God bless. Rob Skiba, Ross, and Robert. I knew I knew a little bit about Rob Skiba, but I mean, I wasn't on the same page with him, and you know, I don't get into all that flat Earth stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that believe in the flat Earth thing. I just don't even want to get into that stuff. It's to me, it's a big distraction, and it takes away from really pursuing and really focusing on the most important things at this point. I know people want to get into all the details of why it's flat and why it's not a globe and why it affects the whole concept of the Bible, and that's fine, you know. But the Rob Skiba thing, I don't know. I mean, I talked with him a little bit on the side, but I didn't agree with him on some things, especially when he got too overly messianic. And I understand messianic teachings. Believe me, I've studied in depth history. You know, the Torah, the way it's was intended to be understood, and also not just the way the Lord intended us to understand the Torah in light of the new covenant before the advent of Christ, but also the way the Jews interpret it, even to this very day. There's been all kinds of, there's ancient Hebrew all the way to this day, and things have changed over time. Obviously, things always change, but the truth remains always the same. And there's always going to be that bedrock of truth. You can, do your archaeological digs and find. And I say that in terms of your mining of truth, right? As you begin to dig deep, you're going to come to the bedrock. You know, it's funny that I speak about the archaeological stuff because my wife and my kids are really into this. And I've been looking at this guy too. He's really a cool archaeologist. He's got one of the most popular archaeology books out on Amazon, but I forgot the guy's name. If my wife's in the house, can you tell me what his name is again? He's got that little icon with the it's kind of like a goat with the two long horns. It's not the goat, it's the other one that has it's like an impala. Looks like an impala with two long horns. And it's his little icon that pops up in the screen, but he's an archaeologist and he goes through all the different sites. It's amazing stuff that this guy uncovers and the stuff that this guy has put together in some of his videos. You got to go check that guy out. I think that the AI is going to be the downfall. Yeah, because it's being demonically charged. It's a machine, I think, that has been aided and abetted by demonic powers in and of itself. It just the technology of itself. But I always say the flat Earth. I always say, I always say, is it like a pancake flying through the heavens? Or why not a square Earth or maybe like a triangular Earth, like, or an oblong Earth, or one that looks like a pear shaped or something, like flying. Whoa! Don't go too close to the edge. Now I know that there's probably a lot of explanations for that, and I'm not in any way making fun of people that believe it. I just, in my mind, can't get past that, and I don't even want to go there because I see so many people so passionate, overly passionate about wanting to talk about it that I can't even think about trying to waste my time because I got so many other things to do, trying to figure out how to refute that whole argument. Because I don't want to get into all what they say, the science and everything behind it, to try to prove it. Because even if you did prove it, what would be the point anyway at this point? To just what? I don't know. But anyway, it's great. It's a bagel Earth. I like a pizza Earth better. I think a pizza Earth would be better. But a bagel earth is okay as long as it's got schmear on it. A bagel with some schmear and some locks. We need some locks on there. Yeah, Biker B. If you go down the rabbit hole, yeah. But I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I got enough rabbit holes I'm already in. But I did have opportunity to talk to Rob Skiba before he died. Actually, I was going to debate one of his friends, Jim Staley. You guys know Jim Staley? He's gotten. I think he's got a pretty big channel right now. And his past. I talked with him. I was supposed to have a debate with him back in 2013, but it just so happened that it coincided with the birth of my son on the very same day, and then after a period of time, he started really researching. I think he was just wanting me to be there as a prop. It would have turned out terrible, I think. I don't think it would have went the way he thought. But anyways, I was going to go to his church. I think he was going to take me. He wanted me to come out so that we could do like a debate. And then I had my son, and I was like, hey, we can do it online. I can set it up. We can just do it online. And he said, no, he didn't want to do it online. And I guess he wanted more control or more environmental feel for the debate. And then after a while, he's like, we probably agree on a lot more things. It wouldn't be a very interesting debate. I think we agree too much. And we do agree on a lot of things, but there is some things that I would definitely disagree on some of his doctrines. And that's because I'm not caught up into that really the real big part of what messianic, and I'm telling you, messianic teachers are all different. They all have different emphases. And there's always some different little rabbit trail they go off on. But Jim Staley has a very crafted and a very well presented message. He's very big about, the way it's packaged, which is it's kind of like marketing. You market the message. But I'm kind of careful with too much marketing, because I could get really caught up into marketing things, and yeah, it might be better for the bottom line in the end, but do you make a sacrifice for what's real and what's true? It's kind of like that personal touch. Don't you like it? Don't you like it don't you like going back to the day when you used to sit out on your porch and have barbecues, and everybody on the whole block would be a neighbor, and everybody would talk to each other, everybody knew each other? Or do you want to go back, or do you want to come to the today's where everything is all market? It kind of reminds me of the Truman Show. Remember the Truman Show? Everything was actually looking real, but it really wasn't. And actually what was happening is they were marketing different products during a live show that was a reality TV show. But the people that were playing it, like Truman, didn't know it was a reality show. He didn't even know he was on TV. That's kind of the way I feel. It's like we can sit here and market the gospel, but it doesn't feel real to me when I'm sitting listening to people that are marketing something. It's got to have real flesh and blood. You got to have some real, heartfelt suffering that the message is being born in, and it's got to have application, and it's, someone's got to get in there and walk it out with you. That's what discipleship really is. It's about teachers that actually model and help their students to put that message to practice, like they model it. And even to the point of, this goes back to another thought I had today about how Jesus had to leave his disciples at a certain point. It's kind of like the eagle pushing out her chicks. She just has to push them out at a certain point. You got to fly. If you're going to fly, you're going to make it. If you're not, well, you're going to fall all the way down. Hopefully you're flapping your wings. You're doing what's natural, and it'll break your fall. But maybe you'll start to fly, right? Maybe you'll figure it out when I push you out, and then you're going to figure it out. And so I think that sometimes we have that, that moment with the Lord where he's like, okay, now it's time to see if you can fly. I'm going to have to go away for a little bit. You're not going to see me. You're not going to sense my presence for a little bit here. I'm going to kind of, let you kind of go through things and have a little suffering. You're going to walk by faith. You're going to trust. You're going to watch and wait and see that I'm still there, even though it doesn't feel like it. Actually, the Holy Spirit was poured out at a certain point, and the Spirit now became with them as a comforter and in them. That's the big difference. He says, unless I go away, the comforter won't come to you, and he won't be with you, and he won't be in you. So isn't it better to have Jesus through his Spirit in you, or just having Jesus here, always doing everything for you, always protecting you, always watching out? And that's cool, but hey, let's multiply the blessing. And that's why Jesus said, you're going to do greater things than I did, because I go to the Father. And the reason is greater is that because the Spirit of God is now being passed on. It's like multiplication. From generation to generation, it's going to be poured out upon all flesh. And it's going to be within each one of us. Now, I pray that every one of you out there has a true understanding of the times that we're in. This is why I really do these broadcasts. It's not just about news. It's not just about finding out who the Antichrist is or how much end times we're in. It's about knowing Jesus. If you don't know Jesus, how are you going to even know when you're in the end times? The testimony of Jesus, it says, is the spirit of prophecy. So if you don't have a real testimony or true understanding of your relationship with Christ, you're not going to know about prophecy. You're not going to have a clue what the Bible really teaches. You might have a bunch of head knowledge, like a lot of liberal theologians do, that don't even know Jesus, that don't know God. In fact, they're probably antagonistic toward the whole idea of what the truth is, but they have a lot of knowledge about the Bible. So just because you have some knowledge doesn't mean you know Jesus. All I'm saying. You want to know what prophecy is, you want to know what really is going on, then you got to get to know Jesus. That's the key. Don't just try to go off on little tangents. Some people seek after miracles. Some people are seeking after finding out about aliens and about demons, and some are caught up with miracle signs and wonders all the time, or going off on rabbit trails of and I say it's a rabbit trail, but like flat earth, and they're always trying to prove something, but they're really not big about getting to know Jesus. Like, what does he teach about the cross? Picking up your cross and following me? What does that mean? Deny yourself? Lose your life that you might find it? What does that mean? Offer your life up as a living sacrifice? What does that mean? You're dead to yourself, to your will, to your own thoughts, but let Jesus live his life in you. I am the resurrection and the life. He said, he that believes in me, though he's dead, yet shall he live. Richie from Boston and Robert have so many things common. Yeah, I like Richie from Boston. I've listened to him speak, and I'm glad he's back on. I know that he was off there for a while. I'm surprised they gave him back his channel. That's amazing. I think he has a couple channels, but yeah, Richie from Boston is great. And I know he has a faith and a trust in God. So it's good that you're talking about him. We got to do some collabs. I got to find some people to do some collabs with that we're somewhat in agreement on things, because it's a lonely trek, going through the weeds of YouTube to try to find people that are somewhat on the same page. It's like, does anybody read their Bible anymore? It's like, I'm not saying that they're not reading their Bible, but you know what I mean? Just, but anyways. So what else we got here? What other news do we have here? Ghislaine Maxwell files appeal to Supreme Court to overturn sex trafficking conviction. Is she going to overcome? It sounds to me like Trump may, in fact, be partial to her, and he's always said nice things about her. He's never said anything terrible. In fact, before, I remember at least a year ago, when asked about this, he said something nice about her. He never said anything real negative. So it sounds to me like he's probably going to try to, you know, try to get her out of prison. But this poor woman, Virginia Golfrey, said that she felt like, you know, she basically is dead now. They unalived her, and they tried to make it sound like it was a very strange thing too. It was very strange the way that all happened. Poor gal. She had kids and everything. She was so sad about her kids when she wrote those posts. I kind of wonder if, you know, if any of that stuff was legit, what she said on her right before she died, if that was even her. It was just very weird. She had described, and she was one of the key witnesses in this whole thing. She was a key witness. She just died, what, a few months back, right? Wasn't it a few months ago? She described Ghislaine as a monster and worse than Epstein. You know, her dad was the high-level Mossad agent, some of the highest influencers for Israel probably ever. We're talking about, what was his name? Robert Maxwell? Was it Robert Maxwell? Anyways, that's his daughter. Okay. It's a pretty big empire that's connected very intimately with high-level intelligence in Israel. So, yeah, she said he was, and I think that Epstein was just, he was kind of just their guy that did it all. Like he was the administrator. He was tasked to do it. He was probably, controlled. And then when they got to a point where he became a liability, they just knocked him off. But I think that it's kind of like a drug dealer. They participate in their own drugs. You know, a lot of drug dealers that are really high level, they don't do drugs. You know, they're there for the money. But there are some drug dealers that do their drugs, and that's not a good thing because then they get sloppy and they get caught up in things they shouldn't, and then they end up getting killed, right? And maybe that's kind of what happened with Epstein, but Ghislaine is a little different. Virginia Golfrey said that she was vicious, she was evil. I know that woman. She had his money and he had her contacts. Ghislaine was much more conniving and smart than Epstein ever was. That's what she said about Ghislaine. And she's going to be sprung from the prison that she's in because of her good friend. You know that Epstein introduced Melania in a very young age to Trump. Did you know that? That's how they all met. There's lots of pictures of them when they were young together, hanging out. Did you see this evil thing here? I'm not talking about the baby. I'm talking about how she's mimicking Lady Gaga. This is a little toddler. A toddler. And these are young little kids, but this is a toddler in the middle, and they're singing that demonic song, Abracadabra. It's just absolutely terrible. Just terrible. I can't even begin to tell you how this hurts my soul. But you know, Lady Gaga is just over heels, overjoyed at this. She just thinks it's the best thing. She just loves this so much. Corrupting little kids with demonic power. It's just sad. So sad. And it's such a demonic thing too. It's very satanic. So Abracadabra drips with magic and symbolism despite the media claiming that the song is not satanic. The clergy were explicitly singled out, quote unquote. Trump administration and Catholic priests secure victory against child abuse, reporting law that would violate the confidentiality of confessional. So I guess they're not allowed to, if they find out about some kind of abuse, if a priest or a pastor finds out, they don't have an obligation now under Trump to report it. So that sounds to me like it's going to only facilitate and make it worse. Doesn't it sound like that to you? Hmm. Hurricane season warning is piling up. Brace for a disastrous August. So far unremarkable Atlantic hurricane season is heading for a pivot point, forecasters warn. If you thought the flooding we saw in the past month or so was bad, hurricane season will be much worse. We've warned people to leave these areas for years. Hopefully some have listened, as no one will be prepared for what they have in store next. I'm sure they're going to direct all kinds of energy weapons and affecting the planet's atmosphere and weather patterns. And it's going to be horrendous, I'm sure. We're coming into the heart of what they say is bad hurricane weather time, period. And, yep, this is the whole situation here unfolding with that. What did you think about this article? Did you guys see this or this video? I posted this video. Trump's new order on homelessness is turning people that are homeless, he's turning that situation into a crime with these acts, with these new laws. Because if you are not able to find a home or able to keep a home, then you could be deemed crazy and or not going along with their program and be put into some certain types of camps. I don't know how they're going to facilitate this because the money that they're allocating is not enough to handle all of the homeless people. I think Trump just wants the streets to be cleaned up to make it look nice. But what are they going to do with all the people? I don't know. Pretty crazy stuff. I believe one officer was killed. Is that correct? 5 people, or there's 6 people total that were killed. Is that correct, guys? I'll have to look at some of the reports now because I know this was still an unfolding event. I thought it was interesting that the shooter was on the 33rd floor. Is that another message, subliminal message again? 33rd. You got to kind of wonder if these aren't signals. Some of you guys may know what I'm talking about. 33rd degree. And like I said, I would expect more of these things to happen. Now, when I told my wife, when I saw that video of the guy in the plane, I said, honey, I think that could be like some kind of signal. Like, now's the time. I was thinking about Austin Powers when she says, when the woman, she starts yelling, send out the drones, like she starts yelling, like it was like the time is now, send them out. Let's start this party. And I kind of wonder if that's like their way of saying, let's go, let's get this thing rolling. And sure enough, there was like 2 different events. This was another one right after that happened. So we'll see if we start to see a whole bunch of these types of weird, crazy things happening with this whole Palestine thing, Middle East stuff. Just if you start to see that happening in our current news cycle and events here in our country, then something's up. Something's going down. And I think that things are going to start really escalating, especially with Russia. Russia? Seriously? Maybe they're pushing the envelope with Russia to have something really big go down. Like this would be the Black Swan event. If we got into a war with Russia, not just Russia, but Iran, because Iran would be allies. all the allies, China, Russia. I mean, is India going to join in? I mean, like, what's going on? You're seeing all these hotspots now breaking out, like Cambodia and Thailand. Well, that's all East and West right there. Our allies would probably be, our ally there would probably be the Thai or the Thailand, country of Thailand. And Cambodia would probably be, China, right? Or Russian allies, right? And so we could be seeing the very same thing happening like we did back in the Vietnam days, but this is more on a bigger scale. Like, this isn't like Cold War. This is turning into hot war. We're not just working through proxies. Now we're confronting each other face to face. Nuclear armed superpowers threatening superpowers. That's where it's going to go. This isn't becoming like playing the game anymore with proxy war. This is like coming out into the open now. And when that happens, that's not good. That means big things can happen. I mean, what we're seeing right now in Ukraine is bad, but it's nothing compared to what could happen. And what we're seeing going on in the Middle East right now is bad, with what's happening in Gaza and Syria and, Iran. Just wait. Things are going to get worse. It's going to get worse. This is not going away. And Trump is not a man of peace. He is not bringing peace. Okay? This is a facilitation of war. And this is why I keep telling people, you're listening to a lot of hopium and you're sedated. You're in some la land and you haven't woke up. What's going to wake you up out of your stupor? A big red flash in the sky, and I think cyber warfare is happening. Did you see what happened to the cyber warfare in Russia? They shut down all the airlines. What's going on? The airlines keep getting shut down. Why is that happening in different countries? Cyber warfare. That's cyber warfare. We just had a big airline outage just the other day. I don't know if it was here. Was it the UK? I mean, it seems like it happens quite often now. And now you got one in Russia shutting down all their airlines. It's huge. See, there's the girl right there. That was the accomplice. She had a big old red bruise on her head, and they picked her up. She don't look Islamic. She looks kind of white, like a white young teenager. Almost kind of reminds me of one of those, college students that is all about Palestine. They're all liberal people out there protesting the Palestinian thing. I'm kind of wondering, like, what's up with all this? Let's see. Oh, excuse me. Make sure you become a member if you're on the channel here at YouTube. I got to make a little plug. We're trying to raise a little funds. If you have any means and you have a little extra, you need to put in the little jar, because I'm doing my little song and dance. I got my little jar out there. Please change, please. If you want to contribute to the cause, you'll definitely help out what we're doing and keep us moving forward without a glitch. Maybe even expand if we get enough people that are regular supporters. But we can only do so much. If we had a little more free time, we would do more. But the more people support, the more we can focus on this without any glitch. And we do have some supporters that are on board and are definitely helping out. So, and I do appreciate all you guys out there that have done so much. And if that's what we're supposed to do, we're content with that. But I think we could do more. Let's try to do more. And I'll try to sacrifice as much as I can to keep doing this. But if you can help, that would also help. So there you go. Where is the news? Mr. RJ says, where is the news? Well, you got to scroll back. You got to scroll back. We're done. The news is up. It's over. You missed it. If you snooze, you lose. So go back and rewind if you're awake now. How many people just yawned right after you? I know. Ooh, okay. Did I make you yawn when I did that? Yum, yum, yum. Isn't that funny? Why is it that yawns are contagious? I have no idea. Why is it that when I look at the sun, I sneeze? I have no idea. Karen! Good job, Karen. Look at that. Oh, it's a roboto. Mr. Roboto. Origato, Mr. Roboto. I love that song, by the way. Celebrate their first super on a live stream. Woohoo! Can I say, can I respond? I wanted to say thank you. How come I can't do that? It won't let me do it. That's weird. Usually it gives me kind of like a way to say thank you, but it doesn't on that one. I guess this is a sticker, right? Is that what that is? First super. Thank you very much, Karen. God bless you. God bless. God bless. And I pray the Lord richest blessings and I'll just say prosperity back upon you 100-fold. We're going to take the prosperity gospel preachers little formula and see if it works. No, I'm just kidding. I hear my kitties outside having fun. I better get out there before it gets too dark because they're out there playing around. But hey, guys, I love you all very much. Mr. Roboto was originally written as a joke. Gigi, I didn't know that, but you know what? When you really look at the lyrics, it's all about what's going on. It's all about transhumanism. It's all about people that actually are a part of the Borg, and they're now letting everybody know, hey, I'm Kilroy. He has a secret. Remember? Secret. I have a secret. Much love, Sherry. God bless you, Carrie. Ven Compro. Many blessings, Diane. Gigi. God bless y'all. Have a great evening, and we'll talk with you real soon. Again, if there's anything breaking or major, we'll come back on here and break it down and explain it. Try to help people to see through the smoke and mirrors and the fog of war, but really to see Jesus, right? That's the key. See through it all so that you can see who really is in control. Who's really in control? Jesus is. Amen. All right, guys. God bless you all, and I'll talk to you soon.